So resume and interviewing panel off to a great start. So why this talk? Again, we want to go through and talk about some of the, and I think a lot of us have our own experiences. We got Corey, who's a director. I'm a manager. Adam has been a manager and a CISO, and is probably on a lot of interviewing processes. Jeff, I believe you said you're on an interviewing process.
Yep.
Jessica, I think you've gone through a lot of interviewing processes. Tell me if you. I'm sure you've interviewed people too.
Hi, Jeff.
Yeah.
I love you.
Yeah.
I hope.
David, I know, has been on interview processes while he stuffs his face, whatever he's stuffing him. I imagine it's like a hot dog. By the way.
No, this is a Arby's wrap. Thank you very much.
Ooh, even better.
Very fancy.
Yep. So, and anybody else that wants to join in and kind of, again, we want to do some interaction, ask questions. Let's kind of hash out some of this stuff. I think people are going to have different opinions, but I feel like some of the resume hiring process, there's so much stuff out there, so you kind of got to figure out like what works for what best works for you, right? So one of the first things I want to talk about is relationships and networking, because I think it's probably the most important thing in the hiring process. We have resumes to review. A lot of the resumes we have currently are people who have gotten jobs. I have two of my guys. I have my resume. I will show you what I do when I go through resumes and kind of highlight some of the things that I look for. If anybody has a resume they want reviewed, we can certainly go through that. Do you have something, Adam?
No, I was just sparkling at you.
Okay.
No, I appreciate you for noticing.
Yes. It's kind of hard when you go,
well, I was just going to say, that aren't all of our resumes people that have gotten jobs in InfoSec? Not most of them.
Correct, but some of them are going to be they are going to be varying degrees of good.
Sure. Okay. Sure. I was just taking issue with your all. It's kind of like the statement you made earlier. The last virtual ColaSec, the last all virtual ColaSec was accurate, but
just because you got the job doesn't mean your resume is any good.
Right, exactly. This is true. That's kind of my point, right?
That's a really good point.
Resumes just get you to the interview.
I would like you to stop describing my entire career, please.
Well, so
here's looking at you, kid.
Yeah, I've seen your resume, Adam.
And to talk specifically about Tim's comment on networking, I was thinking about it the other day, and I was trying to remember the last time I got a cold job offer. And it's been like 3 years. Anytime I've gotten a new client or changed jobs or gotten something different, I've always known somebody that was like, hey, Jessica, come apply for this thing.
Right. Resumes just get you to that interview process, right? And as Jessica kind of highlighted, and we will get into, is networking's probably the most important thing.
And you can sidestep a lot of the interview bullshit if you already know the folks that are interviewing you.
Correct.
But all of the the things that give you sweaty palms in interviews sort of melt away when you know the guy sitting across from you, the girl sitting across from you, that like it doesn't matter. If you know who they are and can talk to them, it's a formality.
Or
holy shit, look who it is. A wild Josh Huff appears.
We need to make sure Jessica mutes when she disappears. There's a lot of ambient noise.
It's much more fun this way. I can mute it.
Well, it's also to the point is sometimes it's not the other person across the table. Sometimes just knowing the CISO gets you into a job.
Sure.
And I have a story about that. And then we'll talk about interviewing, and then there are like resources that I've only updated, so people can absolutely drop links for resources they like for interviewing and resume writing. So with that, let's talk about networking, and let's see. Hold on. I'm going to go back. Yeah. Let's talk about networking and relationships, right? This is easily the best way to get a job. How do you network? Local user groups, right? ColaSec is a great place to go networking. We've been going strong since 2014. There's a lot of people that know each other. There's a lot of people, and this is, I would say, it's kind of expanded a little bit, right? This is people in Columbia, South Carolina originally, but Jeff and I have left. So Jeff's out in North Carolina. I'm out in Tennessee. Might know some people for people. Mackenzie's out in Aiken, South Carolina. He just moved out to Dragos.
Where is Dragos based versus where you're working from, Mackenzie?
Based on the internet.
Yep.
Fuck you, Mackenzie.
And this is a whole new world, right?
Dragos is an air gap system, aren't they?
That's why they call them the air gap specialist.
So Josh just joined us. He's up in Charlotte, North Carolina. He knows people. As Corey mentioned in chat, that's how he's got the last 3 jobs, and I would agree. I think the last 2 jobs I've gotten have been entirely through networking and having some sort of relationship with someone. So it makes the process much easier. Conferences are a great place to go. I've met a lot of people, and if you want to really expand outside of the area, conferences are great. That's why I brought up besides Augusta, right? And even though it's Augusta, there's a lot of people. There's 700 people. I don't think they have 700 people in Augusta, let alone security people in Augusta, right? So they've got a lot of people coming in from all over these different places, and getting to know people and talking to them, and really opens up a lot of opportunities. In fact, my most recent opportunity was from the fact that I drove 7 hours out to Nashville to go to the Nashville conference. It ended up that starting a local user group, the OWASP chapter in Columbia, with a guy named Frank Catucci, who, oh, by the way, I had interviewed with at the Department of Employment and Workforce, where me and Adam met. I didn't get hired for that job because I didn't know them at the time. But Frank knew someone that was looking, or he had talked to someone that was looking out in Nashville, Tennessee, particularly around an AppSec role. And I was very much interested in AppSec. That's why I was starting a local user group chapter on AppSec. And that opened up my opportunity to go interview with these people, right? And because I'd gone and shot at Nashville, the same person that was hiring that company, she was one of the organizers of the Nashville B-Sides event. And so didn't get a glowing review. She said I showed up, did my job, and provided quality work. But that helps in the long run, right? That really helps getting out into the community and getting involved. And I think, did Josh leave already, or is he here? No, Josh isn't. Yeah, Josh. And Josh should know this, right? Because Josh took Josh to DerbyCon several years ago at this point, and he just kind of took off from that point. And he showed up prior to DerbyCon, he was at ColaSec for like 3 weeks prior to DerbyCon, and just showed up and just kind of took off from there.
And Josh is kind of, as far as I'm concerned, our poster child for someone being interested in the security industry and then just breaking in through some combination of networking and developing interest, right? It's not just that you know the right people. It's you know the right people and you show an interest, and then you can articulate that interest in a way that demonstrates to the folks that you know that you're in it, learning and willing to learn more. And Josh has done that, and well, he went from that. I don't want to dig too deep into his career, but he went from not being in InfoSec to having a job explicitly working on information security for a high-profile company. So,
Well, Well,
A lot of those resume hurdles are HR related, and the hiring manager can override them. The other thing I will say is that the hiring manager, I say hiring manager, the person making the hiring decision may or may not dismiss you out of hand, just based on one interview. But if you've got somebody in that interview that knows you and knows what you know, knows how interested you are, and is willing to fight for you, that would instantly sway my decision in hiring, and has in the past. Like, if I've got somebody that says, no, this is the guy, and I'm looking at 3 candidates I'm lukewarm about, it's instant. It's an easy decision, right? Like, I've got somebody.
You don't even have to be lukewarm about them. If you have 3 good candidates and you're looking to pick one over the other, what are the things that are going to make them stand out over other people?
Right. Yeah.
well, and we'll add this in here. I was working DoD as a security admin, which I mean essentially was a lot of paper pushing. And I started coming to ColaSec, and I hate networking. I hate networking. I hate showing up at new places and being like, hi, people that I don't know. I guess I'm going to say words and hope they make a sentence. But a couple months later, after I'd been to a few meetings, all of a sudden a company that a couple of the organizers worked at had a job posting, and I was like, well, I guess I'll apply. And I really have no doubt that a little bit of name recognition and my involvement and showing that I was interested beyond just, I want to come here and sit in the chair and then do my 40 hours and go home was part of me getting the job and getting that opportunity, that chance.
Yep. And I'll say, and Josh hasn't spoken up, but Josh was working as a Staples manager at the time, and just showed an interest. And as like Adam said, he's the poster child for, and it's not just Josh showed up, it's Josh took the extra effort to try and learn some of this stuff and really got engaged in it, and really just kind of took off from there.
And we aren't necessarily saying that you need to become a ColaSec organizer in order to kickstart your InfoSec career. But if you'd like to volunteer to do some extra work.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
A bit.
So other ways to get involved, communities. So we've already kind of gone through the Slack. If you weren't here earlier, we did go through the Slack channels, and there's a lot more channels out there. There's a jobs channel, there's a news channel. Getting involved in other communities, as Adam is opening a fridge while his microphone is unmuted.
It's important, man.
It is. Clearly. There's Slack channels, there's GitHub, there's Discord that you can get involved in. So it doesn't have to be in person, especially after this pandemic. It can be, and Josh is another example of this, right? There's an OSIT channel that we're a part of that's actually got a lot of really great content in there. So you start showing an interest in some of, whatever you're interested in. That's a good way. Yeah.
And
No, I absolutely. Every time I'm talking to someone, and when I go to a conference, when I'm talking, someone local that is interested in security, people here at Columbia ColaSec, I am constantly interviewing them. Would I hire them? Right? Would do I think they have a? Do they have a? Are they a great fit for any of our opportunities? We've got a 30-person security team in my company, Premise Health, right? And this is GRC, this is IAM, this is security operations. So we have new roles expanding on a pretty regular basis. So I am always looking for talent and I am always interviewing. So that's something to keep in mind too, is that when you're going out there and putting yourself out there, you are presenting yourself in a way that can make you hireable or make people want to hire you.
And just to tie back in the place Corey I think wanted me to go, and I didn't take him, so he went there anyway. The reason Corey's interview was easy is because I already had context, right? Like we had conversations outside of the interview. There was a previous discourse that occurred outside of that context, and I wasn't necessarily interviewing him in a security context then, but I had witnessed that he'd shown up to meetings about ColaSec meetings, and like he had expressed interest and had participated in the conversation in a way that let me know like where his head was at, and the it's easy in conversation to pick out those folks who are just getting started or have been in the industry for a long time, have certain biases, and you can really easily tell, especially at like a lunch with the team, who's going to jive with the team, who's going to get along and be able to actually work together, and who's just going to clash instantaneously and it's only going to be conflict. And that's part of the hiring decision, right? Like it's part of it is your skills and what you bring to the table. Part of it is your personality and how well you're going to mesh with the rest of that team. And if you're not going to mesh with the team and it's not going to be a good experience for anybody, you really don't want to be a part of that team any damn way. So
I have the opposite end of that. Oh, go ahead, Hope.
I just made a face at you. I'm sorry. Uh, this is also like really interesting to me because all I've ever done is, I mean, the only serious job that was not a stupid temp job that I've interviewed for has really been internal stuff at DOR, and none of it is like this at all. it's none of it's like this. I mean, I'm not saying this isn't helpful. I'm just saying it's really interesting how it is like externally, because I feel like I am kind of in this bubble where I'm missing out on learning these kinds of things.
Well, and the one thing to keep in mind is you've got a couple of different people who have filled in our state employees, and if you're a state employee, that interview has to be conducted in such a way that everyone is asked the same question, everyone gets the same amount of time to answer the questions, and it has to be so formalized to show like, oh, we have had no bias.
Yeah, they're absolutely. Yeah. I had to help with interviews for a couple of people about 3 months before the pandemic, and it was so sterile and like I just walked out of there and I was like, how do we, like, we know what programs they can use and what test questions they can answer, but we don't know who these people are.
Yeah,
Like,
I'll say
it's
well, that speaks to a lot of the hiring processes just suck. I think hiring is
absolutely
awful.
Hiring managers have to be empowered to look. I get it. A set of questions that everyone has. The good processes are going to allow people on both sides and something that was extremely stressful and how you got out of it. Just talking about navigating through a problem and all the different things we went through, and some of it's just sharing war stories, right? And that's part of the whole experience. If you don't have those war stories to share, you can go through and talk about the things you've done in a lab that someone in a technical field very well will relate to. I can distinctly remember having conversations with folks who were still in school about the technical ins and outs of learning to solve the problem in front of them, and that's a big part of an interview that does not we're not going to tick any of those boxes tonight. We're not going to cover any of that for anybody who is a candidate for a job, but that's a huge part of it, is deviating from some standard set of questions you're going to be asked and forced to answer. We can.
I disagree because I think we are going
Great.
to talk about interviewing at some point, so we're kind of jumping ahead a little bit.
Well, we have a girl.
Imagine that.
We have a girl right now who is great. She actually came to us. She wasn't familiar with the software we use. She has a couple of other she has a couple of other skill sets that we were looking for. She was more of a good, I guess, culture fit kind of on our team. And I'm really lucky to have a team that actually cares about that, because some teams don't. But she also is just constantly trying to guess the right answer. She's trying to give me the answer that she thinks that I want. And it drives me a little bonkers. She's still new and she's still learning. And so sometimes I have to sit down and I have to look at her and I'm like, no, think this problem out and tell me what the answer to the problem. Don't tell me what you think you're supposed to tell me. And I think that part of that is this hiring process and all these probationary periods, and it just puts all the stress on the employees to be like, I must do everything right for the first 6 months. I have to be perfect. And I don't know.
That's another topic that we could have an entire panel on.
Sorry.
It is onboarding someone, right? Because I don't think people do the hiring process for a manager doesn't end when you hire the person. It's the next, like you said, next 6 months for getting them onboarding and getting them productive as possible. But I think that's a whole other topic.
Yeah, sorry, I jumped
No, you're good.
There.
I just want to jump in and talk about the networking thing for a moment, about when you pre-interview someone by meeting them at a conference or a user group or on the sidewalk or something like that. And it has to do with pretty much most people just want to work with people that they get along with, that they find friendly or engaging, or that mesh well with them. So if you have a good conversation or you network with someone over drinks at B-sides or something like that, it goes a really, really far away, almost to the point where it might even be more important than your technical skills at certain companies, that they like you. And that's pretty much it.
That's a social engineering aspect, right? That's a whole social engineering aspect, is building rapport with people and getting them to actually, like you said, like you.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I got
my job.
Yeah, well, and I've got 2 relationship stories, and the other one involves Adam. It's the opposite of Corey. I didn't know Adam when I went and interviewed for a network administration role at Do, right? And I was asked a lot of technical questions, went through the interview. I, at that time, really did suck at interviewing. And the same guy that got me the job I'm currently at was also in that meeting as well, right? Columbia is a small town. Go figure. And guess what happened? Adam and Frank, who was the other person, did not hire me, right? It wasn't until probably several months or a year later that someone else who came over Adam, I think Frank was gone at that point, actually hired me and took a chance on me, right? And I think, and I like to bring this up constantly, that Adam made a mistake in not hiring me because I think me and him, got along really well. I feel like I did a good job at
Dear listener, I will never live this down.
He will never live this down. We started ColaSec together. Me and Adam started ColaSec together.
I could live to 307.
Ain't gonna happen.
Yeah. So I mean, and that was actually the time I got hired into the security team at Dew, and Adam was like networking and security, and so like I was trying for a network role that changed into a security role at some point. I eventually, and I spent like prior to getting hired on to Dew, I spent 15 months looking for a job. I would interview maybe every other month. And a lot of those, I got a lot of rejection notices. I got, a lot of my resumes. I never even got the interview call. So I've lived this hell of trying to go through this process. After Dew, and this is where the story flips and the relationship really matters, I have, networked, and that has allowed me to get the jobs that I've gotten. I'm currently 5 years plus in at Premise Health, and that was a networking opportunity. Prior to that, I worked for the Department of Administration, also known as DCIT, which is Department of IT or something that.
I think that's is that not a legacy acronym at this point?
Which one, DOA or DCIT?
I think
both?
DOA is still accurate, but DCIT is legacy.
So anyways,
I mean, why do you think I hang out with you nerds?
Yeah.
Fuck off.
So part of DOA is we had the CISO for Department of DOA or DCIT or whatever show up. He showed up to the ColaSec meetings. We got to know him.
DOA actually does stuff?
Yeah, no, Mark it was Marcos. When he was the CISO over DOA, he would come to our meetups, and he mentioned that he was looking for some security analysts to work in the SOC. At DOA, right? And so I, said, hey, I'm interested. Went out to lunch with him one time. Again, he came out to quite a few, 2-3 ColaSec meetings, so we got to know him a little bit. Yeah. Either
Marcos, wherever you are, come back. We missed you.
I think he's back at South Carolina.
Is he?
Yep.
Yeah, he worked for the University of South Carolina at one point too. That's what
Well, no, that's where he went back to.
Right.
If I'm not mistaken.
Gotcha. Either way, like I got to know him. He was a CISO. I went into the interview. We ended up talking baseball because one of the guys, this is again goes back to Mackenzie's liking you, right? One of the main guys was a Chicago Cubs fan. I was a Houston Astros fan. There's a lot of, we talked baseball. They asked me what a TCP handshake was. I said, I don't know. I can Google that for you. Literally, after working in network administration role for 4 years. Which is a bit embarrassing, but that kind of just highlights I was more configuration than anything, right? But I also did other stuff. I did server administration. I messed with SourceFire, which was our IDS IPS at I was working at Department of Juvenile Justice at the time, right? Set up my own little mini SOC, whatever. But essentially, I went into the interview. I didn't have the networking background. That's why Adam didn't hire me, because they were asking me a lot of technical things. But I had the work ethic and the wherewithal to keep learning and understand a lot of the stuff and do that. And so that, so I got hired on at the SOC when they probably said, this dude doesn't know shit technically, right? He can't even talk about a TCP handshake. They got me trained up. So within a few months, I was able to talk about the TCP handshake. But, what really allowed me to get that opportunity was the fact that I knew the CISO for the, for the department at the time. So relationships matter, folks. Yep. All right. Let's move on.
Good job, Timmy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, let's move on.
Let's move on. Resumes. And we have demos for a lot of this stuff. So I don't know where people want to go. If they want to talk about, if anybody have any opening comments on this topic at this point?
I think you've selected an absolutely perfect meme for this topic.
I don't know if anybody's seen this on resumes either. Pictures are starting to show up on resumes. I have seen
Yeah. It's odd.
I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. One thing I'm going to open up with resumes is I've read, when I got out of the military, I read What Color is Your Parachute? Because that's recommended by my dad and a lot of military folks trying to transition out of the military, right? And one of the biggest takeaways I had from that, though, was that your resume could actually be on like a napkin and get you a job, right? There is no particular format. I mean, there are certain formats and certain things you need to do, best practices, but what gets you an interview, and the resume just gets you the interview. What gets you as an interview at one place might not get you an interview at another place, right?
And napkin is I mean,
Hold on.
Hold on. So if you printed me a napkin or a resume on a napkin, I honestly might hire you just because. Okay,
Correct.
That's fucking impressive.
Right. My English degree is rolling in its grave. And it is in a grave, make no mistake.
I don't think it's a printout type of a situation. I think it's more of a, you drew a TCP handshake to someone at a restaurant, and that's what got you the interview.
Or you drew something far more impressive, like DNS sinkholing. But what else?
Right. Yeah. I mean, and this that kind of goes back to the relationship. But again, I just want to highlight that resumes everybody talks about, oh, this is what you need in your resume. This is what this is what you don't need in your resume. You need an objective, your summary. I don't care about that. I am going through for a junior pen test position. I am going through 356 resumes. I am not sitting there and reading your summary. Sorry, right? I am looking for different things within the resume. So that's what I'm saying is that like sometimes a summary gets you a resume, and we've got a demo of different people that have gotten jobs in security to kind of show you that some people have a summary, other people's don't, right? And so there's no set format that's going to get your resume, which should be a little bit like comforting in the fact that there's no one really knows what a resume should be like. I mean, it should be clean. It should be
literal books.
Right. Yeah, but are they correct? They should be grammatically correct. There are certain best practices you should do.
Grammatically?
Grammatically.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're going to show everybody's going to have a different resume and has gotten a job in security is kind of what I'm saying. There's no one true way to submit a resume and get a job. Sure. You want to get into cover letters? I got a lot to say about cover letters. Or do you want to go get a beer first and come back? I've submitted one for every single one of them that I've gotten.
It sounds like you already know the answer to that question, Corey.
And several that I didn't get a job for. A cover letter is not a thing, but for me as a manager and having written cover letters, and this is where we're getting into like different styles will get you different things. I appreciate a cover letter. I spend a little bit extra time on a resume when they have a cover letter.
A lot of people don't read them, but they notice that they're there. They notice the effort, and that's important.
Is I press Control-W and close out of the window and go find another job application.
I would actually say that
I appreciate you, Mackenzie. Thank you.
I would say that a cover letter is closer to the importance of having multiple resumes. It might be that you're applying to a more formal type place, and a cover letter is important. Or a smaller organization, or maybe a different type of organization is less formal, that a cover letter doesn't make any sense. So you need to have different resumes based on not just the type of position you're applying for, but also you have to do research on the company or the organization you're applying to and try to figure out, how do I get past HR? How do I try to meld myself into what they're looking for? And that might be a cover letter, it might not.
And maybe Hope has some perspective here that I don't understand what purpose a cover letter serves other than providing a summary to someone who isn't interested in actually reading my resume?
So there are certain circumstances that you can use a cover letter to explain something on the resume that isn't part of the resume. And I foresee in the near future that we're gonna want to look at cover letters as managers who are hiring, because a lot of people have lost their jobs during COVID, and they're going to have a gap in employment. And a resume is not the place to really talk about that, but a cover letter is.
There's some vigorous nodding at the screen and pointing from the Hope Corner
It's
and other corners of our
it's just that
video viewership.
so there are like I hate cover letters. I hate them because they were always described to me as like a place to praise yourself and look, I've done this and I've done this, and here's why my experience is valid to your job position, and you're supposed to tailor it to each job
I am
that you're applying for. But not everyone reads them. I always write one, and it's because there's always going to be somebody that wants that job more than you do. And if you don't write one, it it shows a lack of effort in some people's eyes. They
or it just if you're talking about who's 8 people submitted an application, 3 of them submitted a cover letter.
there's
You crossed a
also
bar.
there's also the fact that whether you're in IT or you're in sales or you're in English, you're going to have to write to somebody at some point. You're going to have to write an email, you're going to have to write a business proposal, you're going to have to write a procedure document. And that's a good opportunity for them to be like, can this person construct a sentence?
So, as an aside, just as somebody who has worked in the IT and information security space for, I don't know, 15, nearly 20 years, for the love of fucking Christ, can someone explain to all of us how to write a sentence and convey information properly? I'm still guilty of it. I don't understand. Like I need to learn, but oh my god. the ability to convey the information you want to convey in a succinct and orderly manner in the fewest number of words possible is more valuable than gold.
I mean, there are people with PhDs that can't do it. So
You're not wrong.
sorry, Corey. Oh, it's been so long since I've written one.
So can I dabble for a second in the way I present my resume now?
No, we're talking about cover letters.
I understand, but so I have a resume that has everything I've ever done on it. It's 8 pages long, and I would never send it to someone that I wanted to actually hire me because it's 8 pages long. So I would imagine that this is coming from someone who doesn't write cover letters because I'm lazy. I build a resume for the job I want based on the skills required for that job. So I take my 8-page resume that has everything I've ever done and distill it down to the shit that's interesting and relevant to the job I'm applying for. So if it's a GRC job, I'm going to boil that down to all the things relevant to an account and audit management around dealing with governance and everything. So I would think my cover letter would focus on those skills that are distilled down into that version of the resume. Is that not right?
Yeah, I mean it's what you want to highlight, right?
Right.
And it's what you so same thing with me, right? Hope's already touched on this, right? It's gaps in resumes. It gives you an opportunity to do that. For me, I was trying to, and I'm going to share my master resume because, like Adam, I have a multi-page resume that I would never send to a company, but it's got every single thing that I've bulleted on there, right? And you know, this is very much a military style resume.
Well, that
But
idea of also capturing everything is kind of the difference between a resume and what we consider a CV. And some places do ask for a CV, especially in education and higher ed, or some other places. And that
Yep.
is more of that comprehensive look at your career than what a resume tends to be.
right,
What is
so,
a CV?
cover letter?
Yep.
Curriculum
CV.
vitae.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yep. So that's really important because that's a distinction that we haven't made.
well, and I'd say, to stay on the cover letter, my experience has been I was trying to get hired on as an application security consultant for a company, a smallish company. And I thought I was hired. I thought I was going for a junior or a mid-level role, right? Submitted a cover letter, said, hey, I don't have a development background. Like I called that out right away. And you're trying to get an application security, development background, good luck. But I said, I've enjoyed working with the security team. Here are the things that I'm doing. I've learned Zap. I've learned, all these different things. And I went, again, that resumes and cover letters get you to the interview, right? And so I think, regardless of what you think about cover letters, Mackenzie says he's never going to do a cover letter. That's fine. It does increase your chances. It does increase because some managers do like them, some don't care. If you're going to apply for a job and want to increase your chances, why not submit a cover letter? Because it's going to increase your chances. It's not going to take away from your chances to get a job. And it allows you to say certain things. There is a particular format. You want to keep it to one page. You want to keep it to things relevant to the job. I highlighted that I was really interested in learning more and trying to do stuff. And I found out at the end of the interview process that they were looking at me for a senior position when I was trying to get for a junior or mid position at the company. So they were trying to they slotted me into a senior position despite the fact that I thought it was more of a junior, and I was close to getting the job too. I got that feedback that I was close, and I just had this one little thing that I needed to work on. So I think the cover letter, whatever you think of it, it is going to increase your chances. It might only be a small percent, or for some, it might be a larger percent. And again, this goes back to what I mentioned earlier, is you have no idea the person reviewing what their preferences are. So,
Kim, can you expand that to the full screen, please?
yeah, I don't know if I can. Oh, yeah. So let's see. Yeah. So this is my resume that I have. I haven't updated in a while. I've definitely moved up to management, but this has like everything on there, right? It's got 5 bullets. Talks about where I worked. This is when I worked at deployment of workforce. I worked only in the SOC at the DOA for about 8 months. I have everything on here, but to Adam's point, and I think someone else mentioned this, you want to cater, like David said, multiple. What you really need is like a master that you can turn into multiple because you're catering it to the job, right? This is good to do on a quarterly basis because as you're doing your job, and I know I even said you should be doing it quarterly, and I haven't updated mine. I'm happy at where I'm at, right? I'm not looking to leave, but if you're looking to leave, you should be updating it with some of the recent stuff, right?
Well, there's really no reason not to update it as things happen, especially if you get a new certification, you get a new responsibility or something. That's one of the first things I ever do is I go out and I update my resume just to make sure that I capture it and I don't forget that changed.
Gotcha. Yeah. So for an AppSec role, hey, Sorry, my dog's going into her room. Looks like he's. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, we talked about the master.
Yeah, so this is the master right here, right? This is integrated security SDL in all stages. I was going for a senior software security engineer role, right? Establish a patch management process maybe applies, right? Responding to phishing incidents did not apply. I'm going to take that out. Implement an incident response process for malware. Don't care. Identified resources affected by Heartbleed and Poodle. That's an application security type of thing. Worked with IPS to identify your Crezza website defacement. AppSec thing. So I'm picking, and I'm not picking all these. I'm picking the top 3, right? I am picking the most relevant top 3 items. Everything else is going to go because I'm trying to get this down to 1 or 2 pages. I don't want to send this as a 3, 4, 8 page resume. These are just also accomplishments too, right? My daily responsibilities will also be pared down. I just listed everything in there, but I might pare that down to something a little bit more relevant. Maybe use 1 or 2 of these sentences to highlight that I did. It wasn't a purely AppSec role, but I still kind of did stuff that related to that role.
It's very tempting to try and convey everything you know how to do, and that's not really what you're interested in. You want to convey what you know how to do that's relevant.
Right. And that's where I see a lot of people and I had 356 resumes. I am currently hiring for another junior pen tester. Oh, by the way, if anybody's interested, you can come talk to me. But one of the things that I look over is if you've got like 10 bullet points. Yeah. Well, exactly. If you've got 10 bullet points for each job you're in, I am moving on because I can be super picky. That tells me that you have not catered your resume to the position.
That is one thing we were taught, is that if your resume is over a page, it better need to be over a page.
Right.
It absolutely needs.
You better be really fucking impressive.
Yeah. See, I disagree with that. I think that you should relay information about it. We can all scan things, yes, but if there's information that's there and it is relevant, then sometimes it has to go longer than that. And,
well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like if it's necessary.
But there's necessary and it makes sense to do it. And again, that's if you've had a 25-year career, how do you fit 25 years of work onto 1 page of paper? I mean,
that's fair.
You can still do it. I would say you want to max out at 2 or 3. If you send me an 8 and you're 25 years in.
Yep.
And you can
completely.
Well, and here's the other thing. Look, if you look at my font, I have a 10 font. So there's ways to sneak it into the resume, right? And again,
you can look at mine. You can pull mine up, and you can see font management.
Right. Well, and this is where I wanted to show that this was my actual premise resume, right? I've removed some of this stuff. Well, I guess my stuff is still in there. I guess you can actually find all this stuff online. It's not a big deal. But you can see this is, I guess that is my premise resume. Anyways, yeah. So you can see, and this is where I talked about earlier, right? I've gotten down to 3 bullets. I've reduced the responsibilities a little bit. And this is all my work history is in a little bit over a page, right? And then we get into education, where this is where I like to really expand on stuff, is all the education I've done, the projects I've been a part of, the conferences I've gone to. These are all things I add. So if someone's scrolling, and this is one of the things I look for, right, is I'm looking for extracurricular activities. So if you have a page of extracurricular activities, like that says something to me, right? And like I'm in 3 of 3 with like 1 item, right? I could probably, so I can get even with my, and this is, again, hasn't been updated in a while. So you can see it's still my old title. I could probably still get this to 2 pages, and I could really work because again, no one is going to look at these 2 pages and read every single word. I know I will never do that for any job posting I have.
But also I do look when we're hiring somebody, and I do work for a state agency, and we do have to grade based on whether somebody meets or doesn't meet preferred and required requirements. And so, I mean, doing a find on somebody's resume to see if they know a PCI compliance. Is PCI mentioned in your resume? If it's not mentioned in your resume, you're gonna get a 0 for that one. You're not gonna get a meet.
Not to mention resume filters.
Not working.
Well, this goes back to catering your resume to the job, right?
Yep.
Look at the job description. If they say PCI, if they say HIPAA, if they say whatever, and you have experience in that, that better be in your resume. That better be in your cover letter. That might be,
and it's not in mine. I will tell you, it's not in my resume, and it should be.
Speak up, Corey.
I'll confess to having something in my resume that should have been there that isn't. I am deeply familiar, or was deeply familiar when I got hired for my latest job, with the IRS 1075 publication, which is their version. It's the IRS version of NIST. So I would deeply understood that. Had no idea what the hell NIST was. Not word for word, family by family, but that I understood all the concepts. And so as I go and need to update my resume, because it's not included there currently, that's something I need to go and add.
Right.
Yeah, that's what you should. That's catering That's catering your resume to the job description, which is one going to get you by the machine learning and AI that more and more companies are starting to use. Right, they're looking for those keywords.
And that's that technical expertise section that I probably still need to pare down some, but it's a way to try and like hit those keywords. And if I'm seeing something in that resume, I need to add it to that area, even if it doesn't show up as like something I've done or something that I do.
Right. Yeah, I don't care about. I can tell you, I don't look at the skills section at all. I think it's a waste of space in resumes.
Can you scroll down on your resume, Timmy?
On the keywords is make sure you spell HIPAA correctly. Because if I'm gonna do Control F on your resume and see if you have HIPAA, and if you spell it with 2 P's, you're out. Just
very hippie.
You're very hippie.
Doesn't it have 2 A's?
Yep.
Exactly.
I'm not even okay.
You're a grammar major.
No, I'm chronically ill. No, I was sorry. Keep going. The thing about the keywords, I don't know why anybody would have told you not to do that. Because that you should absolutely do that. Like anything that you've done that matches something that they're looking for needs to be in your resume. I was actually hired for the job that I'm doing now partially because out of the people that applied, I was the only one that knew how to use Creative Suite.
Oh, that was you. That's why I blamed Adam for that.
I was gonna blame Adam too, honestly.
I'm permanently muted now.
I mean, manager's like a whole different thing. I have never hired for a manager because I am a manager, so I don't know what those resumes looks like, but I would expect, again, you're catering it to the job, right? So you should be showing, and you can, the one thing too is that sometimes your lower positions I pulled cable at one point. There is nothing relevant to security at that point, right? Other than maybe the encasing for the wires could be considered security. But it's like, I'm going to have one or two accomplishments for that. Like I'm going to have one or two accomplishments for it. But in that case, what you're showing is progression throughout your career.
Exactly. And that's, if you started at a help desk and you moved your way up and you're like, oh, I don't want to put a help desk on my resume. No, you absolutely put it on your resume, because that goes to communication with people. And that's a big part of what you look at.
You are also maintaining the security of your workplace by assisting employees in keeping their stations secure.
Yeah, but you don't need 10 bullet points about how you reinstalled printer drivers and like that. Everybody knows what a help desk does.
I'm just saying, like.
Yeah, if Tim wants to go back to my resume, I think I can pare down some of the older jobs I've had to some smaller.
To me, Jeff. To me, this looks like a master resume. I like that you.
It's a master resume.
Yeah. So, and that's the same thing, right? But this is something I would keep, right? All of your coursework. This shows that you've got a shit ton of, you have the dates on there,
Well, and I thought about removing the coursework section, not the certification, but I was like, there are some that match 100%, but there's other stuff that I've done that doesn't get reflected elsewhere.
No,
and I thought that was important to have.
That's exactly why I have the education section, right? I do call out, I have CompTIA, I call out the year, I call out my CEH training, never got the certification. I did 32 hours of NCASE training, never got the certification. It was a 40-hour course. That's my BA. That is actually my degree.
I'm seeing a pattern here.
Yeah. I don't care about certs, right? Because you know what actually speaks more than certs? All these fucking conferences I go to, attendee, photographer, speaker, volunteer. This
actually
speaks way more than
certification. If you go back to that section, Tim, not on mine, on yours, where you list the attendee and conference stuff. What you will find in that I find is, if you're going to do this, probably don't just say I was an attendee at 55 conferences. You have in there that you were an attendee at some, you were a photographer, so you were volunteering and helping out. You were volunteering, you were a speaker. You showed being active even more so than just being an attendee. Because if somebody gives me a list of 400 conferences that they went to, but all of them were attendee, I would be like, oh yeah, they go to conferences, but they don't ever do anything with it.
Right.
but at the same time, it shows interest.
It does show interest.
Time outside of the workplace that you are, just like ColaSec.
Jeff
People
does
come to
have
ColaSec
a point,
to learn more and be part of the community. That there's some value to that. Maybe not on a resume, but there is some value to going to conferences.
Absolutely. Yeah, go ahead. What's happening in chat?
So Nick asks, so what about applying for your first IT job? How would you use your previous job experience, or should I just list ColaSec and conferences? It sounds like Hope is ready to answer this.
I don't, kind of. I want Tim to answer it, but the only thing that I was going to say is come up with ways to relate what you've done to what you're doing, what you want to do. Don't stretch it. Don't make it ridiculous. But like I was saying with the help desk, like you really were, if you were resetting somebody's password every day, you were helping them maintain security. Like you were doing something with security.
Oh, absolutely. We have an initiative that we're trying to do where our help desk actually starts now doing some security related things where they actually send incidents out to departments and things like that. So, that sort of thing does absolutely happen.
When my team decided we needed this new software because our old software that we were using was no longer supportive, we were making that decision for security reasons. So it's try to think of what you're doing now and how it could relate to what you want to be doing. And Tim knows more things than I do.
You can also put something like a home project on your resume as experience. And I would go as far as to say as any general IT or network administration or system admin is just as important to a cybersecurity role as cybersecurity. Because the number one weakness right now in cybersecurity professionals is their lack of system administration skills.
Yep. To Mackenzie's point, I think, and again, this is where, and I've stopped here purposefully, right? This is the conferences I'm going to. I'm going to security conference. You want to do the security for general IT, a home lab. Throw your home lab on there. I'm doing a home lab, like projects, right? You see my projects. I used to do a lot of podcasting. I've got over 200 episodes of security podcasts, right? You don't have to do podcasting, but this is projects is where you should throw in. I have a home IT lab that I try stuff on, right?
Do you mod video games?
Right, exactly. Yeah, mod video games, any kind of development work you're doing, like that. Really, your GitHub page, right? I don't have my GitHub page on here. I probably should, but I do have stuff on my GitHub page. So any kind of special projects, and I've interviewed people that they are trying to. So I've interviewed people out of the healthcare, out of non-traditional IT fields, trying to get into IT and security in general. A lot of them are going to programs in school trying to get there, but the ones that stick out are the people that are, oh yeah, I'm doing IT home lab stuff. I'm troubleshooting stuff for my grandparents, right? I'm setting them up with password managers. It's for trying to cater some of your other stuff. Like I used to have, wish I could find. I wonder if I could find one of my old resumes. I used to have forklift operator in the Navy in there. No one in IT cares about forklift operator, right? So it's trying to find some of that stuff that might be a little bit tech related. Hey, I helped maintain the projector at work, right? It's a small thing, but those little things showing that you're trying to get into the tech field,
and
really
especially if you were like because this happens, you're the IT person for a business office, right? You weren't doing IT, but you were doing such and such, and everybody came to you in the office to be the IT person. You were the liaison. And if you're in those positions, I would recommend trying to talk to your corporate IT and to talk to them about being part of like the beta testing group. Say, hey, if you guys have like beta testing or things like that, because now you're helping them and you're troubleshooting problems and things like that. And that definitely could go on a resume.
All right. We did have Noel dropped a comment in Twitch that I want to address. So talking about, I think the conference stuff and the project stuff, that might look good if when the security manager looks at it prior to an interview, but those conferences might not mean anything to vanilla HR person looking through the reviews. What I will say about that is if a security manager is not making that a priority and telling their talent acquisition person that they, prioritize that, then that's the failing on security manager, and you probably don't want to go work for them, right? I've actually recently talked to people internal, and I've complained about the fact that security people, and I have resumes of people leaving every 2 to 3 years in their job role, and to me, that's kind of it's a bit of a comment on management. It's also a bit of a comment on the person for not doing the research and not picking opportunities where they actually want to stay in, right? And there can be outstanding factors. Again, I worked in a SOC for 8 months, but prior to that, worked at Duke for 3 years, worked at DJJ for 4 years. I worked in the Navy for 6 years, right? So that kind of says something. But for me as a manager, and I work with my talent acquisition HR person, I say, give me all the resumes, because I want to go through and find that stuff. Because when I first sat down with my talent acquisition person, like, okay, what keywords do you want to search for? And I'm like, I don't know, because I have seen resumes that look fantastic. I had this past year, when I was looking for a junior person, someone that was trying to just get into the tech field. She didn't have a lot of the IT experience that Nick's talking about, but I started looking at her resume. It looked really good. It was grammatically correct. She had volunteer experience. She seemed to be a real go-getter as far as trying to learn stuff. She was going through some boot camps, right? That was stuff that would not have passed an HR check. And if if security managers are not doing the extra effort in the hiring process to try and find some of these people that are going to be, have a great attitude and consistent learning and a go-getter attitude, then they're only hurting themselves, and I wouldn't want to work for them.
Hey, Tim, do you have some junior position resumes that you had posted there? Because that might be a good look to see getting into kind of an entry level within something.
Well, so are you talking about like a job description?
Not a job description, just resumes for people who were juniors in the position who might not have had the experience or a lot of that.
Yeah. So I'm going to caveat this, right? A junior. So for me,
wait, I got this.
Uh-oh.
I have the perfect resume for exactly.
Oh my God, he's like right in the middle. He wasn't there a second ago.
Beat me up, Scotty.
Let me email it to you, I guess.
You can email it to me.
Yeah, we've been asking for resumes.
And now Mackenzie sends it. In the middle.
Mackenzie, do you just want to share your screen?
Yes, I can do that.
That's probably easier than emailing and somebody getting it and somebody doing
Mackenzie's
something.
like, no, I hate you.
I just had to like move a couple things.
So what I'm going to say for security, by the way, I want to get this out before Mackenzie goes, is security to me, and in my view, again, this is another manager thinking about it from a different angle than other managers, right? Security, a junior position, is not an actual coming out of no IT experience. I see security as a higher tier within the IT experience. We've kind of talked about some of this, right? Having some service desk experience, having some sort of security experience. And if you're talking about pen testers, I will tell you the top candidates have this experience and are doing a lot of extra work on the side.
So my only response to that is, I think if you look at the industry, we have a crisis of positions. We have a crisis of need and not good jobs or not good applicants at this point in time. And
well, that depends on the role, because I've talked to a lot of junior people looking for junior positions, and they say everybody in security is hiring for a senior position.
No, I agree.
There are not a lot of junior positions out there for people to actually like apply for.
And that's where I'm going at, is that, there's a lot of need without, there's a lot of need, and we want the best of the best, but we're not providing a pipeline to do it. We're expecting that pipeline to come through other IT roles, right? So you go through system administration, you go through this, you go through that, and then you get into the security entry level position. And unfortunately, we need more people than that provides at this point in time.
Right, sure, but I will counter with, we are hall monitors, right? Security people, we are glorified hall monitors, and what makes a secure network? Configuring it properly. What makes a good server? Configuring it properly. What makes good code? Quality development, right? So these are people that should actually be doing their jobs. And like, I don't know how you can come into security and not provide recommendations for people without having some of that experience and understanding what it takes to actually be secure.
You're absolutely correct. And I think that's, and this is not resume. This is industry
Correct.
challenge.
Yeah,
this
but
is
it's sex expectations for like security resumes. And again, like Jeff, you and I think are going to have a different view when we look at resumes, right? And that's kind of what I'm highlighting as well, right?
Yep. And we see a lot of resumes with people coming out of now education with cybersecurity degrees that we look at them and we're like, no, that's got nothing that I want to be involved with.
You're 5 years behind and you use Metasploit once in a class for one semester. That's not going to cut it for my pen test role. Sorry.
But I do believe as an industry, we have to start finding a way to redefine our positions to bring some of those people in.
Correct.
And it wouldn't be the guy that used it once. It would be the guy that used it to submit a bug bounty and got.
Correct. Yeah.
Anyway, we digress. I apologize.
I think it's extremely.
Oh, Adam's back.
Mackenzie, I've already found a huge red flag in your resume, by the way.
I mean, it's not my resume, but yeah, what I'm trying to say.
Oh, that's right. You submit fake resumes to people. That's right.
Okay, yes, that is a thing, but this is not one of those. What I was going to say is that this is a resume of an individual who.
Can you make it a little bit bigger, please?
Yeah, sorry, I'm pretty big on.
Wait, did you get permission before we start dissecting this?
Oh, don't worry, none of this is.
This is all public.
This is it's not a. It's a real fake resume. Just don't worry about it.
This is a phishing email, actually.
Yeah. This is actually a phishing email. This is a resume from a person who has zero background in cybersecurity or system administration, but has like a small background in like an associate's in computer science and knows some coding languages, but then like just never worked in the industry because he went and did other stuff. But essentially, like, it is just a bunch of like trumping up and sort of like trying to accentuate some sort of tier troubleshooting on a resume. And I remember seeing it when I was hiring and doing some other stuff. I mean, and they have a job, so good on them, I guess, or I liked it. So anyway, I thought I would share. So.
Well, and you know who I really want to weigh in on this, and he's been quiet this entire time, is Josh. Because again, I pointed out that he was a Staples manager who had a little bit of IT experience when he was trying to get into security, right? He didn't have straight IT service desk stuff.
So this individual who came onto the team, the thing that made a lot of sense is that he did a lot of AV work. And if anyone here has ever done AV work, it's a pain in the ass. Like, it's so annoying to set up and run and configure.
Corey, David.
And the ability for an individual to walk me through the troubleshooting of like, oh, like the mics, there's feedbacks, what's the gain pickup level, all that stuff, and doing the testing in because this production company, they used to like drive around the US and set up for like Panasonic conventions and stuff like that, and they did when Panasonic loaned out all of the for other conventions, like whether it was Comic-Con or whatever, or like a Sands conference, all those Sands brings all their own stuff. But any conference, Panasonic like rents out all the AV equipment. They would go and set it all up. And that like amount of setup, breakdown, networks, bringing a Wi-Fi to your own Wi-Fi to a hotel, doing all the AV stuff, like that is incredibly complicated. And that's way more complicated than me like asking someone to like add a computer to the domain. So I don't know. It's
Well, I think that's a good example of showing that there's some technical. Those are all technical things, and that's the thing that I've pointed out to people when I interview them. Praint is highlighting some of that stuff. I interviewed a. He used to be a bomb disposal person in the military, and I was like, you should really highlight the fact that you have really good attention to detail, because your attention to detail was life or death, right? Right, decision making ability, right? That's what I'm looking for as a manager too, right? And that's the thing that I talk to a lot of other managers is like, how do you teach critical thinking? How do you find
Oh my God, you
thinking?
can't. You can't.
No, you can. Yeah, well, you can't. What? Oh, you can't teach it.
Oh, I think the important thing about people who are new to IT system administration, any sort of tech fields or cybersecurity, think about what you do with a computer, like throughout your regular day, and what you do at home.
Well, and even
figure
just
out how to highlight that and put it on your resume.
Troubleshooting is a huge thing, right? Is knowing how to troubleshoot. So if you can show that you've troubleshooted problems, even whether it's AV, editing, things like that, I think that's very valuable for security people.
That is, so critical thinking is what that all comes down to. Being able to take a problem, break it down, and walk through those things. That's what we look for. I've had so many sysadmins. We've got some products that we support that people ask us, and they're like, "Hey, I have a problem with this. Can you help me?" And it's like, "Well, what's your problem?" And they're like, "It doesn't work." And then you're like, "Well, what doesn't work about it?" And it's that critical thinking is, "Hey, I have this problem. I've done these 16 steps, and it doesn't work."
And what all of that drills back down into, what the critical thinking allows you to unlock, is the way the system is put together, which is what security is all about in the first place. How is it put together? How do we keep people from abusing the things in the system that aren't put together as well as we want, right? The input validation on this particular piece isn't quite as perfect as we'd like it to be, and you can put garbage in and get fireworks out. We don't want fireworks. We want regimented, specific output. Right, sure. Sometimes you want garbage back out. Sometimes you want nothing back out. Someone supplied garbage and you got nothing. The system just said fuck off. I'm
What?
What do we this goes back to, I think this was off, right? We got to get Adam and Corey's wife to like go take a trip to the park, or something, so they're not doing chores.
Or just have them attend the meetings.
If COVID hasn't taught you that life happens regardless of whether you're on a Zoom meeting or not, then.
Oh yeah, I don't know if anybody noticed. My daughter came up and she's like, "A game's not working," and I was like, "That was on video."
I have a question.
But I was muted for that.
Go, Hope.
Well, no, I think David was about to say something.
No, I'm done.
Seize the initiative.
Okay. I was just gonna ask, do y'all usually have like one interview, or do y'all usually do two?
I did 7 for Dragos.
Let's get to that at the interview.
Well,
Oh,
part.
that's later. There's
well,
more.
No,
Okay, sorry.
No, there is more.
No,
So
no,
I
no.
want.
So
But wait, there's
Hope-
more.
Hope, I think you generally do 2 to 3 is probably
Okay.
standard. The first is probably a phone interview. The second, it might be an in-person or a more in-depth Zoom interview. And then there may be third or fourth or fifth that you have with maybe different teams.
This Jeff, we've got that's the next part. So let me
we're getting down to the wire. So
we are. Yes, Jeff is the timekeeper. I want to wrap up. I want to wrap up with one point, and then we're moving on to the interview.
Little did we know this is actually the Verizon DBIR report.
In June, every month, Jeff is going to be saying we need to wrap this up. And I don't have 60 slides like I had last year.
I'm good 7. With conversation, but we've had a lot of good
is accidentally 17 hours.
All I wanted to make was one final point because we've covered all the things that I had for bullet points down. There's resumes we didn't get to. That's fine, right? The one thing I wanted to...
We do think we will post those to the jobs board on Slack. So if you're in here and you're not on Slack, get in touch with us and we'll get you onto Slack.
Yeah, we'll have a Tim session on how to get on Slack. One of the things I want to call out
tonight.
One of the things I want to call out is very important. I think everybody will agree. I don't think there'll be much debate here. Is have someone peer review your resume. For me, when I've got 300 plus resumes to go through, punctuation and grammars is my second check. Right? If you have a period on a bullet point and you don't have a period on the next line, you're out. Right? Right? That's to me, that is report writing. I hire pen testers. That's what I've hired my last 2 positions for. I need you to know how to do punctuation, and it eliminates you pretty quickly because I've got other people and everybody I've hired has actually had proper punctuation and grammar on their things. And also the other thing that drives me nuts is not having a month on your employment date. If you just have years, that's a big red flag for me because I don't know if you got hired in December of 2015 and got fired in January of 2016, right? That is a 2-month thing that you could make look. It looks shady to me if you've only got years on it. You need to have months to months. Those are some of my big red flags.
That's why I do it.
I know. That's why I told you that was my big red flag out of your resume, man. I would not hire you. I would eliminate you right off the bat, Mackenzie.
My big red flag from a recent resume I looked
Mackenzie
at
here
was
employed at Dragos, just for the record.
Really, bulleted lists should only have periods at the end if they're completing a sentence.
There you go.
Actually,
But
you're right.
But
you're right. But
if
I
there-
say consistency is more important.
I was gonna say
then-
if you
Correct.
if you use one, the rest of
Keep
your
it- yes.
the thing about it is if you're going to use it to complete a sentence in your first bullet, it should complete a sentence in the rest of your bullet.
The lies
not-
in your resume should be
Correct.
internally consistent.
It's not whether or not you should use a period, it's whether or not you should be using complete sentences.
Send all your resumes to Hope for review.
Please don't.
Mine is that if you are going to track changes in Microsoft Word and then export it as a PDF, look at it before you send it to us.
Oh my gosh, has somebody done that?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
4,000%.
Yeah. Peer review, people. Have your resume peer reviewed by someone else to look over
Just
it. And point out your flaws.
open the PDF after you generate it.
Yeah.
Correct. Yes.
Just open the document.
Jeff on that.
So hold on, that's a tidbit. You said just open the PDF. Convert your fucking resume to a PDF. Just
Yep.
export the damn thing to a PDF out of the gate. Don't play around. Don't think I'm gonna send it to him in Word and what's the god awful
Excel.
No. It's worse than that.
Google Docs.
OTT.
Oh no, it's a different
No.
office platform.
PNG.
Yeah.
Open office.
Sure,
Oh,
that's
you mean
the
the
less
one that's
awful one.
standards compliant? Don't use.
No, I'm talking about the one that only lawyers use.
Oh, that one. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
DocuSign.
Sure.
Don't
Dude.
get cute. PDF. Just PDF.
17 different formats. Fuck it. Export your resume to a PDF and then open it and make sure it looks the way you want it to look.
And embed your cover letter as malware inside that PDF.
Fucking Mackenzie.
Look,
All right.
only if you want to really flex on your employer,
All right,
potential employer.
How to get a security job? Send malware.
No.
Please do not try to use a fancy font.
No.
No,
All right.
do not do
All right.
that. Do
All right,
not
refocus,
do that.
refocus, guys,
Okay.
refocus.
Yes. No. Well, yeah.
Right.
I'm trying.
According to
like,
host,
Jeff,
only use Comic Sans.
That
Jeff,
is not what I said. I will kill you in your sleep.
No. Yes.
My original point is valid. Look at the data that you submit before you submit it, because there are things that can happen that you don't realize. So look at everything before you submit it.
Yeah.
No, have someone else look at it. That's my point. Have someone else look at it, because you're looking at it. You go, everything looks cool. Someone else looks at it and goes, this sucks, this sucks, this sucks. Like, and you should go adjust that, right?
Also, read it out loud. If it sounds really
Ooh, I
stupid,
like that.
it
Yeah.
probably is.
I like that. I like that. All
That's
right.
good.
Yeah. No. Interviewing. So now we can move into interviewing.
Oh boy.
A whole nother
We're-
section.
A whole
We're
nother
getting-
section.
We are getting very close, but I think
It's
this is
9
important.
o'clock, and we're just getting into the third phase of our fucking presentation.
All right. So I mean, I think there's some basic things.
I
that
still don't know how
apply-
I got here.
Well, I think there's some basic things that apply to the resume that apply to here, right? And one of my first ones is study the job description, right? You know, look at what they're looking for. This is where the resume helps out, right? Is you're kind of trying to apply some of your work experience to that, then create questions based on that and practice those questions out loud. So what I do is I write my questions that I think they're going to ask based on the job description on a 3x5 card. On the other side, I put the answer or the points that I want to make, and then I practice. And I practice out loud saying it. Look at the 3x5 card. What's the question? And I try to answer that. And then when I flip it over, did I cover all the points I want to cover for that question?
Please.
Sure.
Fucking absolutely.
No, fuck you. I disagree. Disagree to a point, right? Because here's the thing you have to remember as the interviewee.
Yeah,
Don't
Tim, you've just told me I don't want to work for your company.
Yeah.
That's fine. Sure. Don't get cocky, right? Because the power is with the company until you get the job offer. That's when the power shifts. The
That
power
depends on how
shifts.
desperate you are.
The power. No, you don't have anything until you have the job offer. So this whole thing, you don't have any power until the job offer.
That's incorrect, Tim. I have the power I have is the salary that I have right now, the benefits that I have right now, and how comfortable I am working with the team I am.
And everything.
So if I am
every
in a position where I don't like where I'm working, yeah, I don't have much power. If I really like where I'm working, I'm interviewing you, motherfucker. You're not interviewing me.
Right, and you give all that up when you're applying for a job.
Incorrect. No, absolutely incorrect.
Then why
I
are you
applied for a
applying
job because I expressed some interest in an opportunity you might have.
Some interest.
You might have an opportunity I'm interested in.
Exactly.
I might be willing to entertain your offer.
Right, but you don't have that offer yet. That's what I'm saying.
apply-
You don't have that. You don't have that power until you have that offer.
I apply to a job
there's a-
in the same amount of like intellectual like thought process I put into like flicking my hand like right across on Tinder, just like maybe good. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Send it to him. Send it to him. Send it to
Yeah,
him.
we'll see
It's
what
worth
happens.
entertaining. Let's talk it out.
Sure. And again, the power is still until you get the job offer. You can do the Tinder thing all you want, but the other side has to return the favor. So to your point, Mackenzie, you're not going to talk to that person
This
until
depends
you
on
get
your
the offer to
situation.
talk.
Your mileage may vary.
Well, so I think like in Mackenzie's job, he's talked about it before. He mentioned it earlier. He had 7 interviews. Somewhere within there, he knew kind of like how much money he was going to make, how much, there were certain things that they probably had gone through. And when we're talking about 1 and 2 interviews, and we're talking about trying to get a feel for whether or not you can work with a group of people, that's and a potential employee needs to be able to ask questions. I don't know. Maybe I'm taking this wrong, and
I think you're absolutely right.
I think both Tim and Adam are both correct. It just depends on whether if you are currently comfortable in your current position and you're just sort of like playing the field.
That's absolutely right.
You're secure, and it's like I don't need to go anywhere at all. So I'm just seeing what's out there, just fishing, looking around. At that point, like it doesn't matter. You could. I mean, I walked away from a hilarious amount of jobs when I worked at Savannah River just because my life was so comfortable.
Yeah.
Or if you were currently jobless or you're really looking to get in security because you hate your current job, then yeah, your employer has a little bit more leverage on you. So it just depends on how much you want that job. Because I don't do cover letters because I have not been in a position where I even really needed to go get a new job. So like the extra effort of doing a cover letter already
it's a math equation.
Yeah.
It's a math equation. And one of the variables is how happy are you in your current state? If you're happy with the money you're making and the job you have, then you have a ton of leverage to make that employer budge you out of the position you're in. That involves the environment they're offering you and the compensation they're offering you.
Yes. Hope had a question. She had her hand up first.
I did. I raised my hand like it's kindergarten.
And I'm an asshole and just ignored it.
Although there is a question, we do need to get to after this, because this is kind of a segue, but it was raised.
Yeah, we're super derailed really quick. We're super derailed. I just want to say that I have been in a position where I am super desperate, and the employer definitely has the leverage. Put the Tito's down. The employer definitely has the leverage. But honestly, if I were to apply for a job right now, it would be, from my point of view, the employer in the hot seat, because I'm
sorry, Hope. I think.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say specifically for me, because of like my medical conditions, like I'm not going to go to a place where I'm going to have a team that isn't going to give a damn about me. Right now, I'm at a place where maybe the whole place doesn't care about me, but my boss and my team do. And if you give me the impression as an employer that you don't care, you are going to lose me. And that's how that is. Now, if I were in a different position, it would be the other way. So I think you're both right.
And Hope, I was not trying to interrupt
you. Go ahead.
No, I was trying to not interrupt you. But what I was going to say to that is there are times in your life where you have to get a job because maybe your sucks so bad that you can't stay, or you've lost it for one reason or another. And in a position when you're in a job and you're trying to find something different because, well, why not? And I think that changes the power structure.
Absolutely.
Within an interview.
That's all that was the only point I was trying to make. But I will absolutely say, if you think that the power structure is equal and you and the employer are on even footing, you are absolutely in the superior position. You have bargaining advantage, and you should exploit that to the fullest advantage you can.
Now, again, that's if you're in a position where you have a job and you can choose not to get a job.
Absolutely.
And
if you are fresh out of college and you're desperate for a job, ignore me. Listen to Tim. Listen to everyone else. Like, just take whatever you're given. But once you have a gig and you've got some experience under your belt, you do not undersell that. You have experience. You have skills, you have things you're bringing to the table. You are interviewing your employer.
Corey wants to make a comment.
That is also when you're in a comfortable position, right? Which is not the point of this panel. The point of this panel is people trying to get better at interviewing. So that's the same thing. I've interviewed with Google. I've sent resumes to Netflix. Never heard back from Netflix. Do I hold the power with Netflix when I'm sending in a resume? I am not, because they never responded to me at all, because they never wanted to interview me at all. So they hold the power, even though I am in a comfortable position.
Yeah,
and it would have taken a lot for me to go to Netflix, and I would probably be a badass at Netflix.
In fairness, Tim, we're talking about interviews. We're past the resume step.
Oh, okay. We're gonna throw that in there.
But again, all right.
Pedantic bastard.
If you two let it go and let's move on.
No, so we really are kind of moving on. We really are getting to time. There was a question posted in chat, and I would like to have that discussion. And it, I guess, is from the manager side, and it's where's the best place to find junior talent? Where are the places that you would look if you were trying to find people to bring in and to do things? And I think that's a very good question, because again, I do have an idea that our security jobs, especially in the future, are going to need to find really junior talent, and not just
Welcome to ColaSec.
mid-senior talent.
If you want to find absolutely superb cybersecurity junior talent, go find a person who's been a sysadmin for 3 years. They'll be the best person you ever hire.
So you're saying they have at least a few years of
well, what I'm trying to say
talent.
is that the best way to bring people in as junior cybersecurity people is to pluck them out of other IT roles. If you are a manager, that's what I would highly suggest, because it's usually a pay bump for them anyway, because IT and system admins and help desk people tend to get underpaid. So if you're plucking them out of that, they get a pay bump, and you're getting someone that has like a good head on their shoulders that will know more about like the regular system configurations than junior cybersecurity people anyway. So if you're a manager, that's what I would say. Like, that's always what I looked for.
Yeah. So we're running out of time, and Corey, I that was a fantastic point you brought up that I wanted to make sure that we bring up, that I don't think we did. Could potentially be another long talk, but it's total cost of hire. Basically, it's total cost of employment. What all do you get? So you talked about going to a private sector from a state sector and getting a lot of money, and it happens. It's no one's going to deny that fact, but there are also things like vacation days, holidays. There is the idea that there's the ability to take vacation days. I had a friend recently join a certain a booming conferencing software platform, and my wife Heather looked at the Glassdoor stuff for them. Yes. Yes. Not lost at all. But the Glassdoor reviews all said, they had like unlimited vacation, but they couldn't take it, right? So, you have to look at all the things that are part of it and decide whether, is the money enough versus some of the benefits. You do have to look at healthcare. Healthcare is probably our biggest employment up and down that happens every year that we have to be careful of as we look as employees. And you could make $250,000 a year, but if you have $150,000 a year of healthcare stuff between snot-nosed children and personal healthcare issues, that changes the compensation. So
I feel very seen right now.
Yeah.
So I think to Jeff's point, what you want to do is you want to research the company. That's actually what I'm looking for the interview process is, are you bringing questions that are asking about the company? I have my current role, as desperate as I was to get out of it, I still OSINted like everybody I could that I knew the name for, and our CISO is actually pretty out there. So and it's funny, Jeff. I think we've talked about this before, but your CISO, you have the same CISO from several years, right?
Oh yeah, he came with Marcos a couple times to
right. But
ColaSec.
My CISO was at the same event that your CISO was at, and I found a video for the same two guys talking about some of that stuff. And so reading up on what my CISO was doing, both videos, like watching the videos and reading up where he was at in like blog posts and other stuff, a lot of those things aligned with what I was looking for in a leadership, right? And it's even turned out to be true. Working for the company is that I've been given the autonomy to make decisions because our mindset kind of aligned on a lot of the same things. So
that
absolutely
matters all the way down.
Not to humble brag real fast, but during the interview
but
process,
you are. When
but
you say
the interview
but,
process,
that means you're gonna
Too
humble
late.
Everybody stand back. Mackenzie's humble bragging.
The interview process for Dragos was about 4 months, but during that 4 months, I read every single press release, blog post, Twitter post that their CEO made, or like some of the other prominent figures in that, like Leslie Carhart or JD Christopher. Like I read literally every. I spent like
that's a courting process, right?
Well,
like
no, it's not a courting process. That
allows, absolutely is.
That allows you to prepare for the interview better, right?
It's a courting because it's a courting process.
It is not a courting process.
Oh my God.
It details of how you're going to call it a process don't matter. The fact is that you're trying to find out as much about the company that you're going to work for as they're trying to find out about
and
you.
That's on the person to go do that, right? That's on the person to actually go do the research. Whereas if it's a courting process, the other person, the company is trying to go, oh, you got to work for me because I've looked at your stuff. That is a courting process. Oh, Adam Twitty, you're doing ColaSec roles. Tim, I want you to come work for us.
Tim, I think you have a skewed perspective, my friend.
Sure.
So
you're very skewed corporate. And I love you.
But I've always been skewed. That's why you wouldn't hire me.
You've always been very happy with the man. Is there a next slide?
Yeah, this was. God damn it! Like I almost went to the next slide based on Adam. Corey, if you hadn't said anything, I probably would have just gone to the next slide.
I kind of want to. No, let's meet Tim again. Hold on. I'm muting him again.
No, don't mute me.
So I actually forgot to look at the website for the job that I'm in right now for the team. Showed up at my first interview and totally bombed it. It was horrible and mortifying, and I thought I wouldn't hear back from them. But I did.
And yet you employed.
And yet I'm employed. In that second interview, between the first and second interview, they gave me an assignment to do. And I did the assignment, and apparently I was the only one that did it. And that's why I got the job.
interviewing is inherently, and I will argue with Tim until we're both dead. Good luck, Tim. Interviewing is a courting process between an employer and an employee. And you have the right at any point in the process as a part of the courting process to say, no, not fucking interested.
You could do
You
that
understand that
side,
inherently.
and I can do that on the same side. I can go, he's not very interested in this
Yes,
role,
you
and
can.
drop you.
And
Yeah.
that's all. That's the point I'm trying to get across. Is we as employees have the same
If
amount
you're
of
in
power
that comfortable
in the
position, which is not what the point of this panel was.
So
you
yeah,
and I had
Tim,
fundamentally
what's the
different.
next slide? Let's.
Okay.
Prepare questions. One of my big tips is to talk about food places in the area, or if you're working remote, that doesn't apply. But have questions when you go to an interview. There have been a lot of times I've eliminated people, or it didn't show really well when they didn't have questions about the company, about the people. You know, kind of show your research, show your work is really good.
I like questions. You talk about teamwork and things like that. And one of the things I like, and I would like people to ask, and I've never gotten it, and I haven't applied for a job literally in 9 years. But when was the last time somebody took a vacation? Because
that's a
that
good
has
one.
become really important to me in looking at things, because my wife teaches. She has times off through the year where we can travel and do stuff, and that's something that we deem to be important in our lives, and I want a company that supports it. And
Tim,
there's
are
a
you
reason
sure that interviewees have the authority to ask that question?
Adam.
Absolutely. Like, we are a big, like last year with the pandemic, we had problem with people taking PTO towards the end of the year. So
problem with them taking it or not taking it?
Not taking it, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot of people with the pandemic push it towards the end of the year. So me as a manager, I am looking for, like, I am actually pushing my guys to take PTO earlier than December when everybody's off and I don't have a team, staffed, right? And we, like, our company, I think that's a great question for a company that values that and understands that you need time off to recharge, right? And I know there's a lot of things, there's probably articles out there that will say don't ask for that because they don't want to hire people, but you don't want to go into that kind of grindhouse, right? You want a company that's going to value and understand that people need to recharge from that. So I think it's a great question.
If you give 2 weeks of vacation, you need to allow 2 weeks of vacation.
My favorite thing,
and that literally is part of it, because you have to do it. I'm sorry, Hope, go ahead.
No, I was interrupting. I apologize. The thing I like to ask is what you enjoy the most about being on the team that you're on. Not about your job, about working with the team that you're on.
That's a question you'd ask.
I like to know.
That's a fantastic question.
That's a good job too.
I like to know what you enjoy about working with the people that you work with. Because you're with them, they're basically your. I know that the whole work is family culture is lame, but like they're basically your family. You're with them all day, every day. If you don't get along, you're SOL.
Well, that's the thing that I don't see, but that's what makes a candidate stick out. Again, we're talking about increasing your percentage for sticking out, right? Is doing research into the company, like you mentioned, Jeff. Looking at Glassdoor, seeing what's said there, and potentially even questioning people about that, right?
Yep. I was gonna say something. What was it? Damn it! The end of ColaSec. All the beer's gone.
Oh no!
All the whiskey is.
No.
What do you ask? What do you ask? What do you ask? Oh, this was the only comment that I wanted to make. Probably late, but when we're looking at jobs and people, and we've talked a lot about getting along with people and having a personal relationship with them and having kind of a something between people. There's also the need to look at not just being comfortable with people. diversity within, if we're looking at security, diversity within security is a huge issue. We skew very much into the white male category, and Tim wants to stop.
There's a criteria, right? White, bald, bearded, and you are 2 of the 3. Sometimes you're 3 of the 3, like me, right? And you can look at the people on it right now, right? Minus Hope, we've got Mackenzie bearded, Corey bearded, we've got David bearded, and Hope is the outlier here, right? It's really tough. Like that's
yeah. Where did you guys find a half Mexican woman?
Gaming.
But the point being that there is a very good comfort, I think, in this group. I think we try to foster a comfort. But one of the things we do have to realize is that, especially in security, especially if we're going into environments and places and things that are there, that there are experiences we don't have and things that we can't see, and we have to acknowledge that in our hiring processes and look at the things that matter most and how we can try and expand experience aside from just the thin line that we look at.
Right. And I think it's even confidence level. I just finished reading Warren Buffett's Tap Dance to Work, and one of the last articles they have in that book is about how Warren Buffett talks about women within even his industry, right? Within the financial industry. And he talked about his growing up, right? He had 2 older sisters, and they were positioned in a position of, you need to marry good. Whereas, and he even called it out, they've got more intelligence than me, right? We're all the same, but they have more, I think they all have the same IQ, but they had a better social grasp on things. So they could have succeeded far beyond him. But their parents, and this is just a different time, this is like the early 1900s, kind of like boxed them up. And that is something that has systemically happened for the last 100 years, and we're only now starting to break through some of that stuff, right? And so resumes, and that's what I've heard from like female people that apply resumes, is they feel, and I don't know if Hope can speak to this, is that they feel like they can't put this or that on the resume because it makes them look too aggressive, or whatever other box people are going to put them into, right? And so we need to look past some of the resumes and try to, like, yes, maybe it doesn't, and well, the other thing too is, I'll say that, that's why I want all the resumes when I'm a hiring manager, right? I want to look at them because I have found resume females are much better constructed. They might not have the experience and everything that you want in a role, but their resume looks way better than every other guy on the thing. Some of the best resumes I looked at have been from females, and I've interviewed them, right? I've tried to hire some of them. I've wanted to hire some of them, and they didn't make it through the interview process. So I think, to your point, Jeff, like, we need to rethink how we're doing some of our hiring processes to try and figure out, how do we get some more diversity into security and IT just in general.
Well, and we've talked a lot about the networking relationship, and sometimes that networking relationship can be kind of skewed to certain people or certain things. We've talked some about, going out for a beer afterwards, and sometimes there are people that don't drink for personal or religious reasons. I know, but that doesn't take away from what they can bring to a team.
Correct.
And an organization, and I do think we have to be aware of that.
Yep.
And that's my last thing I want to say tonight. Again, I think we're at a good time. If anybody else would like to make some last comments, that would be great.
Cool. So resources, I recommend manager tools. That was, for me, what really changed some of my resume writing and interviewing, was when I had a structure. the guys that run this are from West Point, so it's very military, very, to the point, direct. They have a lot of data backing up. You might not agree with it. That's fine. One of the things I have read was Why Read Wall Street Journal, and a site that I've never heard of but sounds pretty great is biginterview.com, which allows you to kind of interview for positions, and it kind of gives you feedback based on that. So if I don't know if anybody's tried that out, but it's another resource I wanted to throw up there as part of a something that might be out there to really help people try to get a job essentially.
Adam, you have anything to say? Or are you just done? I think he's just done. Corey, David, anybody from the team or anybody from the group who's still with us? We still have some with us.
No, I think this is fantastic. Completely planned, 100% of this, fully scripted. Appreciate all the content.
And now the Verizon DBIR Part 2 from 2019.
Lots of good input. I hope everyone benefited from this in one way or another. I know it was a lot of content, a lot of information, and I think the ultimate point here, after hearing all this and participating in all this, is there is no one silver bullet. There is no one way to master a resume or master an interview. It's got to be natural. You got to work at it. You got to put an effort in. And you got to put your best foot forward at all times. If you really want a job, you gotta work with your friends, work with your peers, get some put some effort in, and I think it'll come to you. I mean, I know several of our members have worked at it, that have talked with us, have worked with us in the past, and one of our guys inspired us to want to really go forward and do this presentation. And do this, panel, if you will. So I think if nothing else, the participation tonight says enough that a lot of people are interested in this, are excited about it. It's something that's important to everybody, and so I hope it was beneficial.
And if you're applying for a job, if you have a resume you want reviewed, please take this as an invitation. Talk to Tim, talk to Jeff, talk to anybody that's on this panel. Please reach out to us.
We've had some discussion about what to do and whether we want to do it in jobs. That is one of those Slack channels that we came across. I think we should do a hashtag resume, and we should post anybody whose resumes we've had. If we would like to, we could post them there. And then we could have discussion based on them. We could thread them, talk about the resumes, and go from there. That would keep it slightly separate from jobs, which would be maybe more aligned to job postings and things along those lines. If no one has an objection to that, then I'll create that group.
One thing. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
You go ahead.
Just make sure there's no PPI on the resumes.
Boo! What's the fun in that?
Security group.
All your data is safe with us.
Adam
my resume if I want to.
Adam and Jeff and Tim, if you guys get sent something and you want me to look at grammar, just let me know. Don't send anything. Don't send anything directly to me because I don't do this.
I have a draft of this novella that I've been writing.
No. I make no promises about anything.
I have a manifesto.
Jim or Jeff, I will look at that. My boss's name is Jim, and I call him Jeff all the time, and it's your fault.
I thought she just combined
you
and me, Jeff. I think she combined you and me into the same person.
No, my boss's name.
We're both bald. I have the beard. We should do that. Yeah, we got the.
I have glasses. You don't. Well, no.
Hold on, wait.
All right, I'm leaving. Nope, I'm leaving.
We can fix this. Look, I got the glasses going.
There we go.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, I like those.
Everyone here is fired.
I know, Anthony. Anthony, that is a great point. Please, it is Slack and people can see it. Anything you don't want people to know, don't put it in there. I think that is a good go without saying.
Although if you own property, it's already out there.
Some of us are millennials, right?
I'm a millennial.
We should know this.
Yeah.
You're a geriatric millennial.
I did hear that
As-
for the first time the other day, by the way.
As Tony Duncan said in our chat, please add your social security number at the top of all pages and submit in triplicate, and we'll be good.
Ye
We're
old
idiots.
fuckers.
Do y'all want me to get fired? Oh,
That
Lord.
depends. I love you, Hope.
Jeff's in timeout too.
So I guess if anybody has any questions, please ask. There's still 13 people on this chat. If anybody has any questions or wants to say anything, please do unmute or do anything. Otherwise, we'll give it a few more minutes, and I guess we'll probably try and settle up.
Yeah,
Unless it's Tim. Tim can't say anything.